Welcome back to more weekly VTubing news, where I'm going to immediately start with something that happened last week that I missed and feel like if I don't cover I might receive a few angrily thrown onions through my window. Indie Japanese VTuber Sakuna broke records last week after having the most viewed debut stream in VTubing history, hitting a CCV peak of over 383,000 people, which is the third highest viewership ever hit by a VTuber, just behind two completely unrelated hololive graduation streams. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Okay, look, it's Aqua. I know it's Aqua, you know it's Aqua. Hell, her new model is using the exact same illustrator and rigger as the base Aqua model, so I don't think it's really much of a secret and haven't seen a ton of taboo around it, so I think it's okay to mention. Looking at that full list again, you can kind of see why this is such a big deal. These kind of huge viewership numbers that you see for Japanese VTubers tend to always be restricted to members of the two big agencies. And while there's obviously still a connection there, seeing an indie debut get into the top 25, never mind third place, is still pretty insane. She's actually already at almost 1 million subscribers at the time of recording and is set to beat the all-time VTuber record for doing so. And the cover she dropped this week is already at like 2 million views, so yeah, she's kind of thriving. Last week was weirdly packed full of ex-hololive returns, as quite a few of you mentioned to me. We already covered Doobie and now Sakuna, but we also got Mel coming back as Rika. Again, I don't think there's really any past life taboo in this situation. There was one other kind of return stream that I got asked to cover from last week that I actually already knew about, but if I'm not wrong, I believe she'd previously asked to not be linked to her past life, so unless I hear any different, I'm going to avoid mentioning it. While I think the whole past life taboo is thankfully kind of fading recently, if someone explicitly doesn't want to be linked to their past accounts, I'm obviously going to avoid doing so. Now, for another technically last week's story, but in my defense, this happened literally while I was streaming on Sunday, so give me a break. Mega had her 2.0 debut last Sunday and unfortunately got banned mid-debut stream by Twitch. This obviously sucks, especially with how much goes into a VTuber debut and how long creators can spend hyping them up before the big stream. Now, normally this would just be another Twitch L and we'd move on, but this ban sparked a lot more of a conversation both in and outside the community for a reason that I'm kinda scared to show you since I'd rather not get banned myself, but here's my live reaction to finding out about the ban for context. Building up to a debut, you're excited for it, you post about it, you tease it, you get your community hyped up, everybody shows up, Twitch decides that you don't get to have fun today. What was her 2.0 model like? Ooh, okay. So yeah, for obvious reasons, there were some people that thought the ban was another case of Twitch just hating VTubers, and some thinking it was justified, and a lot of people just kind of talking past each other. There was also that group of people that actually does just hate VTubers, giving Mega a lot of unjustified hate, which is never cool to see. But let me try and elaborate on some of the context here. So while Mega's model was pretty revealing and she did zoom in on certain parts during the debut, she also switched to the beaches and hot tubs category whenever she toggled the bikini, which has long been regarded as a sort of safe space both for IRL streamers and VTubers to show a bit more skin, with Mega herself later comparing her model to the IRL streamers currently allowed in that category, which I've blurred because again YouTube will destroy me. She did later apologise for that tweet since it could be considered as dragging down another creator, but this is kind of the central point of the entire argument. A lot of the annoyance and arguments surrounding this issue are because IRL creators seem to have a different set of rules on Twitch than VTubers do, especially in this hot tub category. Alara, who also had herself a cool debut this week, posted on Twitter her findings regarding this discrepancy in the category, pointing out that most IRL streamers also have the sexual themes content classification on, so the category alone might not be enough. And Zach in the replies pointed out that specifically zooming in on certain parts is just straight up not allowed. Now, from what I know and have been told, the majority of Twitch bans actually come from reports instead of full VOD reviews, and they can be applied for any content on your channel, including previous VODs and clips. Given how many people out there just straight up hate VTubers for some reason, I don't think it's insane to theorize that the weird bias Twitch might have against VTubers is actually due to more people reporting VTubers the moment they step out of line. Now, Mega likely commissioned her model way before all these bans started popping off, and this has legitimately been the debut standard for a while now, so I don't think it's entirely her fault, and it sucks that an event she's been building up for so long got interrupted like this. I personally think Twitch's rules are kind of mid. They do apply them unfairly, and honestly, if you're using the right classification, which literally warns people when they click into your stream, I don't see what the issue is with showing a bit more skin. That being said, I don't think Twitch is really going to change its stance on this, and there's always going to be people waiting to report VTubers the moment they do anything slightly outside TOS. So going forward, if you have a model that's showing a lot of skin or has certain animations, or you zoom in to focus on certain parts, you gotta know that you're playing with fire and Twitch might hit you with a ban. It sucks, I'm not saying it's how the platform should be run, but it does seem like that's just how it is for now. As a quick side note, one thing I do hate is how Twitch seems to only want to do bans, especially recently with bans that are only only like a day long. If you want to warn people that certain content is not appropriate, I feel like there are ways to do it that aren't as 100% as banning the entire account. They seem to be using bans as like a warning system instead of just giving creators a notification or whatever for their first violation. Now, I do want to talk about the doxing and stalking stuff that's happened this week, because yeah, of course that's a thing, but after being angry at Twitch for like 1,000 words, I figured we could use some good news, so we'll talk about that and the negative stuff at the end of the vid. As always, we'll start the good news with the debuts and outfit reveals we saw this week, which with it being Halloween, there were quite a few of them. Callie revealed her new 3D model during her J-Rap concert, which was honestly super hype and had a ton of other holomems as guests. Avalon's Lucian showed off his 3D model as the third of the Avalon boys to get one. Sarui got a teen 3D model, Girl DM showed off her new chibi model, and Buff Pup had her Bloody Hell debut along with the release of her first original song Overwhelmed. vshojo announced its 2 new members. V-Fleet's Fortis is set to debut in early December. Vols announced and dropped a sneak peek of their upcoming second generation. Nexus's Class Tensei started their debuts this Saturday and are set to continue over next weekend. Nyaru confirmed her debut as a founding streamer for Irium US, which we talked about last week, and the Globy debuts that were set to be next weekend have been pushed back a week to the 16th and 17th to ensure the highest quality and experience. Melody debuted this cyberpunky Halloween outfit, Henya showed off this new outfit, Requiem's Shiki debuted her sled dog outfit and released her original song Winter Wonderland, Mint had her 3.0 re-debut followed by a karaoke which had a genuinely incredible duet with ERB, and Giri welcomed Jerry the Shadow to the Onimart family. Also behold Doki's Monday hating Halloween outfit. Isn't she beautiful? And for the events and releases of the week, we had all those spooky events I spoke about last week. Most of them were like week-long schedules, so if I went over all of them, we'd be here forever. But for example, Idol had a murder mystery event and you'll never guess who the killer was. It was completely unpredictable. Junk was interviewed on the actual news about YumaCon, an anime convention that took place this weekend in Detroit. Production Kawaii Shi had her first solo live concert. VNU Spectra started her 30-day writing challenge. Utano Pandora announced that she'd be raising money for Cancer Research UK throughout November, and Non announced that Ever After will be hosting their first ever Vtuber concert together for their 3-year anniversary. vshojo kinda cooked this Halloween with them having a 2024 Halloween party, dropping these 12 free chibi models and this group cover of I Put a Spell on You. Henya announced her joining of UTA, the same talent agency that Iron Mouse is in, and Zendrea also announced that she'll be starting work on her passion project of creating her own manga. Something completely separate from vshojo and its characters, and something she's been sitting on for 12 years. Mythos' Poseidon announced her Pokemon TCG Tournament V-League set to take place on the 17th of November. Siren started a Cobblemon server with over 100 content creators, and Pia was announced as a special guest for Doki and Mint's upcoming concert. Hololive's ERB announced that she'd be soon releasing covers of Western songs on Spotify and other platforms. It started with this cover of Blackbird from the Beatles, which I would genuinely recommend you check out. I put a bunch of covers and songs in my videos because I just love VTuber music and seeing people make stuff like this, but Liz honestly has one of the most amazing voices I've ever heard, not just in VTubing. So if you haven't heard her stuff yet, I'd seriously recommend treating yourself. And on the subject of music, while I try and include most covers I see during the week here, I know I barely scratch the surface. And with this week being Halloween, yeah, there's no shot I'm going to be able to include every awesome piece of music. So instead I'm just going to rapid fire some of the ones I saw, and if I missed one that you liked, you can let me know down below. So, Dramatic Inhale. We had a Macy's Pumpkin cover from Pixelink, Aishite covers from Idol's Lala and Kawaii's Tomoe, Love It covers from Cersei and Hazumi, V4 Mirai covered Happy Halloween, Bao, Numi and Cinder did She-Wolf, Bao DM and Value covered Shadowgraph, EdoES released a Bad Apple cover, Shiori covered Dark Knight, Iris covered Omajinai, god I definitely butchered that, Callie covered Flashbang with Pez, Funana covered Sad Girl Sex, Kason covered Ghost Labyrinth, Phase Connect's subunit Kiching covered the Vampire Night opening, VNU's Mivi covered Zombies, Bika covered Touch, V4 Serena put out a jazz cover of King, Globy's First Generation released this cover of Kaibutsu, Lucid Sarah covered Insane, Nana Asteria covered The Monster's Flowering Song, Miori released a fan song wrote for and sponsored by Honkai Star Rail, and Camilla duetted with Evil Neuro for a cover of Evil. Jeez, that was a lot. Thank God for editing, or you'd be hearing a lot of breathing right about now. Now, with all that music out the way, it's sadly time for the weekly drama, graduations and hiatuses. I said at the beginning I'd talk about the stalking and doxing scares we'd had this week. Now normally this kind of actual crime is something I'd avoid mentioning since it goes a bit beyond what I consider VTuber news, but seeing these 3 stories back to back, I figured I should probably talk about it briefly, if only to highlight why this sort of doxing and harassment is so horrific whenever we talk about it. So to start, we had Globy releasing this statement covering their policy on handling misconduct towards their talents. In it, they mentioned that they've recently faced defamatory comments, harassment and online stalking directed towards towards their talents, which has obviously been impacting them emotionally. They say that they will be pursuing legal measures such as the disclosing of sender info and claims for damages when this sort of harassment occurs, and have established a reporting channel for the community to use if they see anything relevant. It's obviously good to see an agency be proactive towards protecting their talents, especially because I know agency talents can get hit with some horrible stuff from random internet people, but it still sucks we need something like this because people just can't be decent on the internet. And speaking about people not being decent on the internet, VTuber Redclaw got doxxed earlier in the week for quote being a furry, with the people who did it trying to get him to leave stream to DM them personally. He is in contact with law enforcement and says that moderation will obviously be a bit intense going forward, though thankfully it looks like his mods and friends did a good job of keeping stuff in order while this happened. While he says, and is most likely correct, that this was probably just 4chan's 16-year-olds, doxing is an insanely stressful thing for creators to go through, so I'm hoping he gets the support he needs. And the third story kind of shows why online privacy is so important. Camilla was mid-stream following the Evo release we talked about when someone knocked on her window, which she initially assumed was a nothing. Unfortunately, the following day someone tried to break into her home live on stream, which you can see in this clip.
Oh my god, look at her little, like... What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Chat. What the... Hold on.
This was followed by her typing on screen about someone trying to come in before ending stream, which might genuinely be one of the scariest things I've ever seen on a live stream. She explained on Twitter that the cops apprehended him thanks to the panic button on her desk, and that since he only interacted while she was live, they think he was a stalker. So yeah, genuine horror story there, and a prime example of why any form of infringing a streamer's privacy is so messed up. Trolling and harassment can turn into doxing, which can turn into legitimate real-life threats. Again, this is a lot more serious than the stuff I normally cover, but I felt it was important to spread awareness so you guys can show some support, and also to kind of restate why this sort of doxing and harassment is so messed up. Anyway, back to normal anime people news, where we had a few hiatuses this week, with V Reverie's Kamiko taking a few weeks to focus on her studies, Mythos' Clotho taking a content hiatus till the 15th, Violer's Shibi taking a hiatus till the 5th following some surgery, and Idol's Riki cancelling her streams for the week for the very understandable reason of getting hit by a car. Pixel Link had to reschedule their Halloween karaoke relay, Relia Lace had her V-tweeter funeral, Nijisanji posted this report on their defamatory behaviour countermeasure team's activities in the last year, Yago personally apologised for the subcontracting act stuff we talked about last week in this tweet here, where he promises to work hard and make corrections, and AN Project formally ceased its operations as of yesterday, with Zumi and Navi both having their final graduation streams since they won't be continuing on with their IPs. And lastly, in the sad news, a truly tragic event happened where Fuwamoko said goodbye to their beloved Mr. Donut. May he rest in peace. Also, the Vatican got an anime mascot, which has obviously already been turned into a VTuber by the internet, and the Dodgers won the World Series, which I'm not saying was because of Gura, but it was totally because of Gura. And there goes another week. Real quick, apparently my GamerSupps code PEN has been broken all this time, which was a tiny oopsie on my part. Really sorry to any of you guys that tried to use it, but it should be working now. There's some cool new merch and stuff if you want to check it out, or you can just be the degenerates I know you are and get yourself some anime girl thighs. Thanks as always to my members, and you know the drill at this point. Anything I missed this week or you want me to cover next week, comment it or hop in the Discord to let me know, and I'll hopefully see you all next week.